Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating contradiction. We're going to break down the psychological, the financial, and the social barriers that are completely paralyzing your dream of moving abroad. Using some brilliant insights from Blueprint Financial, let's figure out why the grand exit so many people plan rarely actually happens. So why do so many of us desperately want to leave, but so few actually pack their bags? Let's dive right into this incredibly common fantasy. You know how it goes. It usually starts as a dream of escaping those miserable -30-degree winters, skyrocketing rent, and heavy taxes that just seem to hit you year after year. It sounds like the absolute perfect plan, right? But the reality is, most people never end up leaving. So we really need to find out what's actually holding you back from buying that one-way ticket.
Section 1. The Pull of Home. We have to start our journey by looking at the hidden anchors. These are the invisible, everyday ties that quietly anchor us in place. And look, it is completely natural to fear losing that personal relationship with your doctor who knows your entire history, or missing out on Sunday dinners, the school plays, and the hockey league. Imagining getting sick in a healthcare system you can't navigate. That's genuinely intimidating. But remember this. Successful expats don't just abandon these things. They fly friends out, they visit their parents, and they rebuild even stronger communities. These anchors are heavy, for sure, but they aren't immovable.
Now, this brings us to one of the most dangerous traps of all, the dream as a painkiller. This is a recurring fantasy of escape that you're just using for temporary mental relief. Simply dreaming of cheaper coffee, warmer weather, and lower rent actually prevents you from taking action. Why? Because the fantasy itself gives you a hit of mental relief. It gives you just enough comfort to tolerate a frustrating job or a ridiculously high grocery bill. You get that little rush of, oh, one day I'll be out of here, and that completely suppresses the urgency you need to actually change your situation. If your dream is just functioning as an escape valve, it is actively stopping you from building a real exit plan. Section 2. The Intention-Behavior Gap. Okay, so this is a behavioral science trap almost all of us fall into. Fantasizing versus taking action. You might think that watching dozens of YouTube videos, reading expat Reddit threads, and pricing out apartments is real progress. But if you haven't even picked a country yet, you're stuck right in the middle of the intention-behavior gap. Roughly half of the people out there with strong intentions to change never act on them. And it's not because they're lazy. It's because your brain is literally tricking you. Researching masquerades as progress by giving your brain a fake dopamine hit. You're using endless research as a highly sophisticated form of procrastination. Every single time you bookmark a visa requirement, you get a rush, feeling like you've moved forward when you haven't moved an inch. To break this cycle, you have to step off the screens. Book a 2-week trip, talk to a cross-border advisor. You need to let concrete, real-world action create your motivation.
Section 3. The Identity Crisis.
Leaving your home country often brings up this really scary, subconscious question. Who am I without this place? But leaving doesn't erase your ingrained politeness, your core values, or your work ethic. You don't just leave those behind at the border. You don't shed your identity. You choose to take the best parts of it with you. The expats who struggle the most abroad are the ones who mistakenly believe moving means completely erasing who they are. Instead, you simply take the best parts of your personality and your culture, and you pack them right alongside your suitcase. Get this, there is actually a fascinating and kind of funny concept out there called flagjacking. It's a trend where Americans actually pretend to be Canadians abroad. It's a powerful reminder of how cultural identity works globally. If you leave a place like Canada, your cultural reputation precedes you in a really positive way. Passports open doors, and the world welcomes your presence with open arms. You don't need to fear losing your identity when the rest of the world genuinely values it. Section 4. Overcoming the money fear. Let's shift gears from psychology to cold hard math. The phrase we hear all the time is, I can't afford to leave, but the reality of geo-arbitrage says otherwise, 40 to 60%. Places like Ho Chi Minh City, Chiang Mai, or Medellin offer a cost of living roughly 40 to 60% below a city like Toronto. The rent you pay for a tiny one-bedroom at home could literally buy a fantastic lifestyle for an entire month in Da Nang, Vietnam. Moving abroad doesn't have to drain your wealth, it can actually build it. So the harder question isn't whether you can afford to leave, but whether staying is actually keeping you poor. And then we have the much dreaded departure tax myth. People think it's this punishing extra tax. The CRA treats your move as if you sold most of your non-registered assets the day you leave. But it is not an ongoing drag. It's simply an accelerated tax. It just speeds up the capital gains tax you would eventually owe anyway. It is a one-time event. Once you map out your projected cost of living and the tax treaties, it totally transforms the problem from I can't afford it to, okay, I've run the math and this actually works. Now, what about the fear of a resume gap? Well, the world just doesn't work the way it did 15 years ago. With remote work and sabbaticals being completely normal today across so many industries, leaving doesn't kill your career. When you return, you come back with fresh language skills, a broader global perspective, and incredible mental clarity. International experience is absolutely no longer a resume gap. It is a massive career asset. Section 5. Facing the doubters.
The very second you say your dream out loud to a friend over a drink, the pushback begins. And you're going to face two types of doubters. First, you have the worriers. They act out of genuine, loving concern about your healthcare or your career, but their worry subtly causes your dream to feel a lot less real. And then you have the projectors. These people are just too scared to make a leap in their own lives. Your bravery acts as a mirror to their unfulfilled choices, so they try to talk you out of it to protect their own ego. Listen, you don't need everyone to support you. You just need to recognize exactly where their doubt is coming from.
Finally, Section 6. Escaping the gray zone. We've deconstructed the psychology, the money, and the haters. So now we have to talk about the gray zone. This is when you're spending years half engaged with your current country and half committed to one you might not have even visited yet. Living in this conflicted state of constant indecision is incredibly tiring. And worse, it quietly steals real years of your life without you even noticing. The years add up way faster than you think, while you're just sitting there on the fence. To finally escape this trap, you need your exit strategy. You've got to stop guessing. Step 1. Pick a specific country and run the actual math with an advisor. Step 2. Set a firm, definitive date on the calendar. And Step 3. Book the trip and go visit. Or, alternatively, make the active, explicit choice to stay home and truly mean it. Either path is completely legitimate, but you have to make a definitive choice. So I'll leave you with this to ponder. Will you finally step out of the gray zone and make a choice, or will you let the dream remain just a painkiller? Understanding these barriers, from those hidden anchors all the way to the fake dopamine of research, is the very first step toward genuinely reclaiming control of your future. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you the clarity you need to finally make your move.